Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Monty, one half of Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast. We're produced out of Indie Music TV in New York. That's Ron Conkema, New York. Yes, again, that's Indie Music TV. You could also catch us on RTF Sports Network. That's RTF Sports Network, the number one growing streaming sports network on the air today. Catch us every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, we're their anchor show. And catch our rerun on a morning drive time from 10 to 11 a.m. You could also catch us on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Facebook Live Monty and the Pharaoh page, Twitch TV Monty and the Pharaoh page, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, or any streaming network. We're on it. You can find us anywhere. Also, catch us on New York Cable, Channel 115, every Tuesday from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also, catch us Saturday mornings on Channel 115 from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And catch us Saturday morning at 1:30 a.m. on Channel 20. Soon we'll be coming to Amazon, so catch us there also. We want to thank everybody for the support. And again, please catch us every Thursday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monty DeFaro, Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast, new, old, endangered, and let's have a little fun. Talk to you soon.
Hey, listen, Daddy, you're listening to the #1 broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh, Daddy, in Long Island. The best pro wrestling broadcast of all time, I think.
Hey, everybody, this is Action, Smash Demolition, and you're listening to the Monty and Pharaoh Show.
The #1 wrestling show on Long Island. Unbelievable show. Watch it. Listen. Make sure and listen.
This here's the legendary Warlord, and I'm at Long Island's the best radio there is, the Monty and Pharaoh Show. I like it, you like it, and we'll all like it.
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast out of Indie Music TV, here out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island, at the board. Matty Ice. Matty, how are you, pal?
Doing amazing as always. How are you?
All right, how was your weekend?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
What does pretty good represent, my friend?
Watching a movie and having some beers with my dad.
Did you watch Cobra Kai?
Oh, no. The Netflix special you're talking about, or something else?
Oh, it's Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
It was originally YouTube, wasn't it?
It was originally Karate Kid.
Well, we know that, but it was originally being shown.
Yeah,
on
right,
YouTube,
but then it
now
went to
it's on-
Netflix, right.
What I've seen of it kicks ass.
Well, to the right, in case anyone didn't know, this is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy, how are you, my friend?
Oh, just ducky. How are you?
So what's going on? A little down and out today? What's happening?
No, I think I've been awake for a couple of days, something like that. I don't know what happens when I go into these weird phases, but lately sleep just isn't happening.
So the world found out yesterday that we have impeached President Trump for a second time. Thoughts on that?
Impeach me 2 times. I'm getting out. Bye. See ya. 2 times. I'm
2
impressed.
times. It is
I'm
impressive.
impressed. That's impressive. That is really hard thing to do.
Do you think things are going to straighten out, man?
No. Do you? I don't.
2021 is not starting well.
Well, yeah, it looks like we're going further down the manhole, if that's what you're getting at. Fucking A!
Do you think Donald Trump needed to be impeached? Matty, weigh in if you want to, pal.
Yeah, go for it, Matt. What say you? Voice of the youth.
I think he should have been, out of principle alone, just to say, like, if Biden wanted to do this at the very end of his presidency, it should at least be a deterrent, to the future presidents. You can't make a ruckus at the end of your term.
It should be a deterrent?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Matty, can
That's
you
a very polite way of
can
saying
you
that was
check
insane
can you check
behavior,
Jimmy's
but-
mic? I got a fan out there say he's a little low.
Really now?
How's his mic?
My big mouth is a little low. Wow.
It's a little low.
That's as impressive as being
Impeached twice.
Because I really want you guys to weigh in.
Thank
on
you,
this. I think
fan.
It's important.
What happened, Matt? I didn't catch that one.
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. Are we good now?
Thank you.
Okay.
Look at me producing from the table. Go back now. So did he need to be impeached?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think it needed to set a precedent for the future presidents of the U.S. and
Yeah, don't do this.
just so
don't
that they
try this
can't
at home.
cause a ruckus at
You-
the
you-
end of their presidency
you don't
without
think-
repercussions.
You don't think it just was stopping him from becoming president again in 4 more years? If he lives that long. I mean, come on. We
Don't you
keep
think
forgetting
he's
about all that.
Wait a
too.
minute, though. Don't you think he's already stopped his ability to be president in 4 years? I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to. I don't think he's going to get too many votes.
All right.
I mean, he'll still have his. I guess he'll still have his tight following, whatever that may be at this point. But
Well, aren't you a little fear that people are going to get assassinated come inauguration day?
I'm doing my best not to think that way. If stuff like that happens, what kind of horrible grounds are we now fragilely walking upon as a country? What's going on here?
Well, we already first misjudged. Like, I thought the minute Biden got in, coronavirus would just disappear. And I was hoping that
I didn't
be the
think
case.
that.
I was hoping it would be the case.
No, that's not realistic.
Why?
That's no more real. Doesn't gut read tell you that this is going to be around for a little while longer? I guess it's just my instincts on certain things.
You know what? I'll take a little while longer.
Like before January 6th happened, people were like saying to me, oh, it's going to all change on January 6th. I'm like, are you kidding me? My gut read told me what was going to happen on January 6th as far as the decision, not the riot, but the decision. I knew that he wasn't going to get anywhere with that. I mean, can't people see the accident coming?
We got the Dan Crusader weighs in. He says, what was Trump's exact words he uttered that caused this impeachment? Please give me the quote.
Oh, he wants word for word. Go ahead, Mike. You got word for word?
I don't have word for word.
I mean, if you want to get technical, I think it's pretty obvious that the language wasn't exactly like go and get everybody a pizza.
Well, let me ask you.
Was it?
No, but
was it friendly overtones? Come on, man. Stop with the. What?
You thought, you looked, not that you looked up to Charlie Manson. Let me
get
that.
Whoa, wait a minute!
Hold on.
Oh, my God.
Real quick.
Talk about misrep.
Charles Manson went to jail
for suggesting subliminally.
So my question is, should President Trump
why don't you just ask me, did he pull a Charlie?
Did he pull a Charlie?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did, and I'm an expert in Charlie, as you know. So, yeah, he pulled a very polite Charlie. But he pulled one.
It was a polite Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie was polite,
a polite
too.
Charlie?
Charlie was polite. You're not tying him up the right way, Charlie was polite.
Polite.
Nah,
Matt,
man.
Do you know who Charles Manson is?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
So,
okay, at least you know who
Before we get into the career bruiser Brody, can you please tell Matt who Charles Manson and what he did?
What? Oh, my God. Charles Manson was known as the mastermind behind the theory known as Helter Skelter, where Charlie Manson allegedly believed that the black man would rise to power and that he would overthrow the white man, but at some point the black man wouldn't know what to do, so he would need leadership, and he would turn to the white man, and in Charlie's mind, that would be him. So basically, he was forming a family in the desert, hippie communal, if you will, that was all about sex and drugs and rock and roll and basically the Beatles. They took way too much drugs. They got really out of hand. Charlie got pissed off because he didn't get the record deal he was kind of promised from Terry Melcher, who was a friend of Charlie's friend from the Beach Boys, Dennis Wilson. The next thing you know, Charlie's sending everybody out and they're hacking people to pieces. Charlie winds up getting committed for suggesting basically the crimes, and because he was the leader of the family and was sentenced to death. Then California reversed that, and he got life, and he just died a couple of years ago, and Mike threw a big party and made fun of me.
I did make fun of him.
Right.
So,
Trump, now, I am not a fan of Charlie Manson. I've always been fascinated by Charlie Manson, just for the record.
Trump pulled a Charlie.
I've also been fascinated by FDR, so do what you will with it.
But President Trump pulled a Charlie.
A little bit. I think so. I think a little bit. What do you think?
I think that...
You don't think there was suggestiveness in any of this? Knowing the pulse of his extreme followers?
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
But I also heard that President Trump was not happy with the look of the people that broke into the Capitol.
Look?
Yeah, he thought they were a little low grade, down, gutterish Americans.
What kind? Oh, now I'm confused. What kind did he?
More like, little suit tie type of.
Oh, he wanted suit and ties going.
Yeah, like
there?
kind of like.
Wow, he's kind of like Vince with Image. Very interesting.
Well, we've jumped off the Trump train lately, huh?
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
I know you didn't catch AEW this week, but before we get into the Brody deal, I got to tell you, Britt Baker.
Yeah.
She did like a Roddy Piper type of. What do you call it, like a talk show thing? But it's out of her dentist office.
Yeah.
She did a wonderful job, dude. I'm actually thinking Britt Baker's got the goods.
Well, she does on the mic, that's for sure. That's about all I can really say about Britt Baker for now. Do they use her effectively week to week though?
I only caught it this week, so again, I don't always watch AEW.
Why are you even bringing up Marco Stunt? What did he not do this time?
Oh my God! But as I say, on the other hand, they had even my wife's watching, right?
Oh, this is going to be good.
And she's watching Marco Stunt actually fight. Help me. The tag team that left the WWE. I'm going to bring.
Oh, the FTR, the FTR Revival
Marco
guys.
Stunt was actually doing well against FTR.
Well,
and my wife's like, "Are you kidding me? This guy looks like he's 2 years old."
Right. I've got Matt would house him.
So
Matt would destroy.
So on the other hand, I'm happy with the Britt Baker deal.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I'm like, Marco Stunt, give it a break. Please.
Yeah. Well, you have dogs bigger at home. What?
Dude, I'm serious. It's
you do!
With the wrestling.
Remember Max? Your awesome Great Dane Max?
Absolutely.
Max is bigger than Marco Stunt.
Well, anybody's bigger than Marco Stunt.
This is terrible.
Marco Stunt's like 4'2".
No, he's not. He's 4'4".
Oh, there you go.
What the hell's wrong with you?
I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monty and the Pharaoh.
God, we're mean.
Wisteria Hall, the lead singer is our very own Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain, and obviously the theme song for Monty and the Pharaoh, Riding High. You can catch their music on Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. If you didn't know, you're watching Monty and the Pharaoh. Monty and the Pharaoh can be seen on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, Monty and the Pharaoh Facebook Live page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monty and the Pharaoh page, Channel 115 every Tuesday here in New York from 7 to 7:30, and for early risers on Channel 115, 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And if you're a nightlife
kind of guy,
if you're a night owl,
Little River
By the way,
Band.
everybody, we were listening to the Little River Band before the show started.
The younger folks are like, "You dinosaurs!"
They're like,
they're talking about wrestling and pissing on Trump.
Get the Brody already.
Yeah, that too.
You can catch us on Channel 20 from 2 a.m. to 2:30. We'll be right back after this commercial break with the life and career of the great Bruiser Brody.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack. Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monty the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, Long Island. We have a special show tonight. We wanted to discuss the career of Bruiser Brody, and then we'll end the show with head-to-head matchup between Mil Mascaris and Randy Orton. That'll be our second installment of the head-to-head segment.
Nice.
All
right.
So, again, everybody out there, we are WWE guys or WWF guys. We were born and raised in the Northeast.
Yep.
So, our touches with Bruiser Brody have been small, to say the least.
Yeah, we had doses of him here and there. Not much. Back in the day. Back in the day.
Now, the internet comes along, all of a sudden you see this amazing guy.
Now we can watch him all the time.
And some of the old school guys could say, hey, man, Bruiser Brody wrestled in the WWF.
He did.
Which is for sure.
Before our time, though. And he wrestled Bruno Sammartino at the Garden. But, again, we were 7 years old. Give us a break.
Right.
You know?
So, we've had Tony Atlas in. He talked about the passing of Bruiser Brody. We had Abdullah the Butcher in. And in about a week and a half or 2 weeks, I think we had Dutch Mantell in.
Nice.
So that will recap on what we're talking about Bruiser Brody. But, look, Bruiser Brody was an incredible wrestler.
I love Bruiser Brody. Absolutely. Absolutely. I always looked forward to when I could read about him in the mags because we did not have exposure to him all the time. The mags were our chance to see what's going on in other places. Brody was always a fascinating subject to read about, and he was always main eventing something. So he was top of the card. He looked like a badass. He wrestled like a badass. He talked like a badass. He was a badass. And I always wonder why on earth it didn't get to the WWF at some point in a much bigger and better program, even into the 80s, but we can get to that.
Well, we'll get to that.
What else you got for me?
Let's talk about Brody, though. Let's talk about his biggest weakness, I believe, as a professional wrestler.
Okay.
Bruiser Brody's refusal to lose, or not, I don't want to use the word sell, but Brody was very protective over his character.
As he should have been.
What I've read in the book.
Reasons for that.
Right?
Yeah, reasons for that.
He worked fairly stiff, from what I understood.
Absolutely.
He had some problems with the invader who eventually murdered him in
Correct.
Puerto Rico.
There's a lot about that. I'm not sure everybody may know, but, you know.
He had that major problem, or that infamous cage match with Lex Luger in Florida in January 21st of 1987. Mm-hmm. In the middle of the match, Brody stopped working and stood around Luger and Bill Alfonso, who was the referee at the time.
Yep.
He spoke about it. You could go to the Monty and the Pharaoh page.
Hey, Daddy!
Playlist. He'll talk about that.
Yeah.
They were puzzled on what was going on with Brody. Basically, Luger, according to Wrestling at the Chase, went to Brody and said, "What did I do wrong?" And Brody said, "Nothing."
Right.
Thoughts?
You know, interestingly enough, I did watch this match in the last 24 hours a couple of times because I found it fascinating. Brody, there's a bunch of different stories about this particular incident. Brody now Luger was brand new basically at this point. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Luger is basically just breaking in. And Brody had worked with him, I think, a time or two before that and felt that he wasn't selling for him. So I made sure I paid special attention when I was watching the match back to see what he was getting at or why he would have thought that. Okay. And I do respect Bruiser Brody, so I was trying to keep an open mind as I watched the match. Okay, let me put it this way. One of Bruiser Brody's best moves, and it was a simple move, but man, was it great. It was effective. It was when he'd kick you in the face. And you saw how he would kick you in the face sometimes, and he could kick you in the face if you were standing. Mm-hmm. He'd kick you in the face if you were on your knees, but he would always follow through with that big furry boot, and he would knock your block off. In the match with Luger, and I was watching other matches with much bigger guys like Abdullah the Butcher, who's he's one of the biggest guys ever. When Brody would deliver the boot, these guys would go down. They'd stay down. They would start to crawl or something like that. I noticed that when he gave Luger the boot, this young guy who clearly has the kind of look that a veteran would probably resent to begin with, pretty boy, big, built like Thor's statue, he hits him with a boot, and you could go and look at it, and you could say, I could be wrong, but I do see him after the boot almost quickly start to pop his foot up like he's getting up. That would annoy the crap out of me if I'm Bruiser Brody. It would annoy me. It'd be like, what the stay down, kid! I just kicked you in the face, So at some point there, it must have just pissed him off so much that he just stopped. And Luger didn't know what to do. Luger was afraid of him. You know that, right?
I think a lot of people were afraid of him.
Luger was truly afraid of him. He described him as big, mean, and scary. So he was afraid. He was like, what on earth did I do? And it is true. And I have seen Luger speak about it afterwards. By the way, it's amazing how different Lex Luger is today as a person compared to what we know of the Lex Luger back in those days. But Luger did very politely go to him and say, what did I do wrong? And Brody said, look, man, it's been a long day. It's just one of those days. It's just one of those days. And he left it at that, Now,
do you think that attitude, though, right? Because guys we've talked to in the studio said that he would go from territory to territory, and he was a draw, obviously. But
I didn't see multiple incidents of Bruiser Brody doing that. We would have probably seen or heard more about that. A lot of the footage I've seen is he's totally selling the same way his opponent is selling for him, whether it's Abdullah or one of his other Cologne or one of his other famous Flair.
Now, did you watch some of his older WWF matches or WWF matches?
A little bit.
He did a lot of selling. He did. Which surprised me. Right?
Again, you know what's funny, and I think that Luger might have brought this out. The only reason we're talking about this all these years later is that someone happened to film this, because in those days it was already forgotten about. Nobody was talking about it in the business. It was just another match that had happened, but with the internet today, it has become a subject because it's controversial.
Fan Darren Hay say Brody was a man's man. I hope I'm saying that right, Darren. Darren Hay.
Yeah.
Maria Dave says Bruiser Brody had great matches.
Yeah.
Thoughts on his matches?
I love him. Listen, I love him, and it's old school, so I don't want to get into how entertaining these flip-flop guys are. Oh, and by the way, I was watching an awesome interview with Bruiser Brody. For a lot of the people who love the independent style and the flying and the flipping and stuff, and the smaller guys,
right.
Bruiser Brody hated that stuff. And he said so. He was like, there is no way you can take 170 feet. This was his words. You could take a 175-pound man and put him in the ring with a 300-pound man, which is what Bruiser Brody was in his prime, and you're going to tell me that this is going to be a contest? This is not going to be a contest. Wrestling is about force and might.
Do you think that...
And Bruiser Brody was the epitome of force and might. And no, a guy like Sami Zayn today against Bruiser Brody, one kick with that furry boot, and quite honestly, 1, 2, 3. Match over.
Do you think Brody, when he established himself in Japan, then changed his attitude in the States when he worked there in the States?
What would have made him do that?
Well,
they're even more physical in Japan, and that's probably
big paydays,
where
big paydays, and he knew he could always go there.
You know
so
what?
He felt he could dictate.
And
right?
the NWA didn't exactly not take care of him either. He was the booker for Texas.
Which Tony told us about, right?
Which is amazing. Bruiser Brody had a great mind for the business. And he did protect his... I don't blame him one bit. By the way, did you ever really think about this? Because reviewing him over the last couple of days, it really came clear to me. Andre the Giant, Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody. Guys like this were traveling attractions. They could go to Japan. Bruiser was one of them. And that is something that really needs to be acknowledged. And I know that we always see these guys for what they really are. You know what I mean, bro?
So
that this guy was a traveling show, and he could go anywhere.
So that's a great point. I want to get to that right after this commercial break. Back to the career of Bruiser Brody. I'm going to ask you about that exact thing you're bringing up.
You got it. We'll be right back.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence. Collision Specialists. 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma. Pharaoh, you bring up a really, really good point, but first, a couple of people weighed in. Reggie Jackson said he loved Brody's boots.
Oh, the greatest. No one kicked like that guy. I totally go, Reggie.
Dan Crusader brought up a point. Luger started off already making 3 times more money than other talent. You think that weighed in?
You know what? I'm sure people the veterans had to resent Lex Luger somewhat.
So we left before commercial break. You said Brody was like a traveling show, like Andre, Abdullah the Butcher, right?
First of all, no one's on the level of Andre as far as draw.
Right.
Let's make that clear. And Abdullah was a draw also probably of slightly higher magnitude than Brody as far as globally and stuff. But Brody was in the tier.
So here's a question for you.
What a specialist. He was awesome.
Here's a question. Say this never happened and he wasn't murdered.
Yeah.
During the Monday Night Wars, he would have been in his 40s.
Late 40s, knocking on 50's door. He probably would have Vince probably wouldn't have given him a look by the time Austin and Rock.
Where would he have ended up, or would he have ended up anywhere, being that he was this traveling show?
Of all the territories, I mean, if you look back on it, I know he enjoyed Japan. Obviously, Puerto Rico turned into what it turned into for him, and it's incredibly tragic. but he seemed to really love the Texas area. And I do think that, and he didn't seem to me like a guy who would just quickly just take the highest paycheck. He doesn't strike me that way. So I'm not so sure he would have been into Turner's, WCW. Who knows, man? He might have tried to form something himself. He was a booker. Maybe he becomes the Southern version of Paul Heyman and comes up with his own thing. Who knows what Bruiser Brody could have done?
You don't think he would have been a great draw for WrestleMania?
Here's the greatest crime. You're asking me what would have happened. You know what should have happened instead? Instead of being in Puerto Rico. It's the late 80s, right? How great would it have been? Well, maybe a year or two before. How great would it have been to have Bobby the Brain Heenan bring in Bruiser Brody to go with Hulk Hogan?
Incredible.
Come on.
Incredible.
What are we talking here? In a way, and I don't I don't think Vince has ever addressed it, or, why was there no interest to bring Bruiser Brody in on that level? Was he afraid that he wouldn't work with him behind the scenes?
You can't have
That's
a guy
possible.
doing business for his own in the WWF.
I'll tell you what, though, Vince has done it with other guys. A few years later, he's putting Warrior over. Look what that guy did to him. I don't see Brody doing that to Vince. Brody didn't strike me as that kind of man. No disrespect to Warrior, but you know what he did to Vince during SummerSlam? Give me $500,000 or I'm not going out there.
Right.
I mean, come on. Brody wasn't cut that way. That cloth, he wasn't made that way. That to me is the greatest disappointment. Is that he didn't get a chance.
What if WCW got their hands on him?
Well,
Brody against Goldberg.
I'll tell you
Brody
what.
Against the NWO.
I'll tell you what the NWA fans did get, and I'm a bit jealous of this. Remember when we used to look in the magazine and see matchups in other territories and go, why can't we see this?
Right.
Ric Flair said you know what? This is for everybody at home. This is for you. This is such a great comment. Ric Flair said that of all the wrestlers he's ever come across, only one wrestler could last 60 minutes with Bruiser Brody.
Right.
And that's Kurt Angle.
Wow.
That was Ric Flair's, praise for how tough and how durable Bruiser Brody was. If Ric Flair is saying
By the way,
that,
Maria Davis says Brody would have destroyed Hogan.
Oh, we would love. How could you not see that happen? Well, in real life,
No, wait a minute. No,
in real life, we know that.
We're not talking real life, though.
But you know what would have happened?
He would have had to do the job. For
Brody
Hogan.
was doing the job for Hogan.
Job.
Absolutely.
So Maria, we agree probably in real life.
I totally
killed him, but
I totally agree. But
in wrestling terms, he would have.
Yeah,
to do the
If
job.
King Kong Bundy's getting pinned, Brody's getting pinned. During those late '80s, Hogan was beating everybody.
All right, so we got Dutch Mantel coming in.
Yeah.
We've had Tony Atlas, Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
Bill Alfonso.
Yeah.
Savio Vega most recently discussed it.
Right.
Let's talk about the death and murder of Bruiser Brody.
Oh, my God. Well, where would you like to begin with all of that?
You begin, Farrah. You know what you're doing.
Well, basically, unfortunately, there's more to this than some people may know this, and I was listening to Flair, a lot in the last couple of days talking about Brody, and Flair was there, by the way.
Was he in Puerto Rico?
He was in Puerto Rico. According to Flair, and these are a couple of things that, it's not like Flair was making excuses for Invader #1 Gonzalez, but he was making it clear that people knew some of the things that had led up to the conflict in the locker room.
Okay, so what are some of the things
Are you aware that the month before the incident with Brody in the locker room, that Invader #1 had just purchased a new home with his wife, and they had a swimming pool, and their 2-year-old child drowned in it? That was
Carlos Colon.
It was supposedly this was the Invader.
Okay.
Supposedly,
if we're wrong out there, please, people.
According to Flair, and he said that he walked into that locker room. And it was 2 days before the incident that this supposedly happened to the child. This is Flair's story.
Let's not forget, and I want you to
Flair's
continue,
story.
but let's not forget.
I'm just trying to fill in details.
Right. If everybody knows this, Gorilla Monsoon owned part of that territory.
Right.
Gorilla Monsoon, Gino,
right,
was selling his shares to Brody.
Correct.
Which Colon and Invader did not want to happen.
Right.
Go ahead.
Supposedly, with the murmurings. Okay. So, basically, there was that tragedy with the child. Also, according to Flair, Brody had beaten, supposedly Gonzalez wouldn't sell appropriately for Brody, so he beat Brody beat him so badly he was in the hospital for a month. So
Really?
he was in a hospital for a month, and then his 2-year-old child drowns in the swimming pool 2 days before. And according to Flair, and you can understand where Flair was leading with these tragedies. He was like, man, that guy walked in the locker room and he was already gone. He couldn't even digest what had been happening to him. So now they go into the locker room, and he, politely asked to talk to Brody, according to legend, and they go into the showers, and from what Flair said, he heard, just like Tony said, they heard screams. The next thing you know, Tony's in there, and Brody is lying on the ground, and he's been basically sliced open, and he's dying. It took an hour for the officials, the ambulance and stuff, to get to the arena because of the traffic outside, supposedly.
By the way, Russell Campbell says you're 100% correct. Reggie Jackson weighs in. Everyone says Flair wasn't there. They didn't pay him enough.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
Flair says he was there.
Okay.
I mean, I saw Flair say.
You saw the interview. You heard
I
the
saw
interview,
Flair
right?
say he was there. I don't know whether or not he was actually, in the locker room, but he did say he was in Puerto Rico. He seemed to say he was there. He seemed to know quite a bit about it.
You heard Tony's story live in studio. You heard Savio.
Yeah.
We heard Abdullah. Abdullah didn't give us much, everybody.
I'll tell you what Abdullah did give us is that he rounded up all the wrestlers and was afraid Colon, according to Abdullah, was afraid Colon would find out that they had all decided to not work for quite a while.
Right.
We did learn that from Abdullah.
We had Tiger Jackson in here, who was there, and we did not ask him that question when he was here with Doink and Dink.
Right. Well, he was trying to fondle us.
Yeah, that's true.
You remember that. Dink and Dink. He was trying to doink us.
We've got Dutch Van Tellen. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, and when Dutch is here,
I'm hiding.
I feel like Dutch had a lot more to do with this than he leads out to. I'm not saying he was part of the murder.
I don't think that.
But I think he knew what was going
down. I think they all
down.
know something. It's just so strange that how the case was over with and all the key witnesses weren't even called in.
Do you think the wrestlers in that locker room knew that Invader was going to gut Bruiser Brody in the shower?
At that particular moment, on that particular night, my gut read tells me that, and I hate thinking this, but this is what my gut read tells me. Colon knew. Obviously, Invader knew what he was going to do. There might have been another person involved that might have known, but that I don't know.
Remember what Tony says, that they were they were kind of off course, and Savio said they were thrown off course because they wanted to kill him at the hotel.
Right.
And they got thrown off course here.
Right.
And again, let's not forget that Dutch Mantell ended up promoting for Puerto Rico afterwards, right?
What happened to the shares, by the way?
Don't know.
Isn't that something that we all need to find out? What happened to those shares? Who did they wind up going to? Or did Colon take them all and now he had everything anyway? That would be a motive.
I mean, you brought it up a few times.
It's mine. Go, down.
Carlos Colon in the Hall of Fame.
I don't get at all. That I don't get at all. Unless Vince doesn't think he's got anything to do with it. Do you think Vinny even thought about stuff like that? He must have. They think about all of that.
Jack
stuff.
Haynes is in studio and said that
you
Vince
mean
McMahon had his hands in it.
Billy Jack McMahon, you mean? That's
Billy
Vince
Jack
is his father.
Explain to the fans.
Billy Jack said, I can't even explain. You need a roadmap to connect Billy. What are you talking
Billy
about?
Jack claimed,
he goes from
Billy
cottage
Jack
cheese to evolution.
Vince McMahon Sr. is his true biological father.
Right, something to do with Kennedy back in the day? I don't know what's going on. I have no idea.
Russell Campbell says that Carlos Colon is rich and he's got the WWE in his pocket. I think that's what you're saying, right, Russell?
He's the Vince McMahon of Puerto Rico, so he's got Puerto Rico in his pocket.
All right, so we've got our next segment coming up head-to-head, but I want the Pharaoh to weigh in. And where is Bruiser Brody weigh in or end up being in the annals of wrestling fans? And why do wrestling fans so interested in Bruiser Brody? And then again, why is the WWE not even at least did a documentary on Bruiser Brody?
Well, they probably don't touch any of that because of the murder, because WWE doesn't touch anything controversial. I think that there's a fascination with Brody because of his untimely demise. Unfortunately, that's always attached to it. But in general, he would have been remembered one way or the other as a great main eventer and a great wrestler. He was magic. He really was. He was fantastic. They don't make them like that anymore. They really don't.
Do you wish you would have got more Bruiser Brody, like growing up, that you would have got to know more about him and watch him more?
I would have preferred a lot more Bruiser Brody and a lot less Bob Backlund.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, really.
You know, Backlund.
Yeah, really.
Backlund
And
against
I'm
Brody.
not knocking Bob Backlund.
Backlund against
That
Brody would have been hot.
That
right?
would have been great. How about Brody crushing Bob Backlund and winning a belt, holding it for like 6 months? That would have been nice. You know? What's so wrong with
Dan
that?
Crusader says Bruiser brought the shares and with the understanding that he would have some pull in the company. After they took Brody's cash, they told Brody that he would have no pull. Brody said he was going to get his money back. Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think he's 100% correct
Yeah.
with that.
Hey.
And that's what started it.
Ugh.
All right, so, again,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's one of the all-time greats. Yeah, I loved him. I thought he was fantastic. You know, they did put him in the Hall of Fame in that legacy wing.
which I don't agree
A couple
with.
of years. It's like they
Do you
sneak
remember
in.
Brody against Abdullah the
You
Butcher
know.
in Georgia Championship Wrestling?
Yeah,
He used to have those little appearances,
Sure,
right?
sure. I just find it hilarious. Some of the guys they high profile when they induct them, and then they're like, "Oh, and by the way, Wahoo McDaniel and Bruiser Brody."
Here's what's
What?
amazing to me: the younger wrestling fans seem to love Bruiser Brody more than even the older wrestling
Really?
fans like ourselves.
Interesting.
It's amazing.
He's got staying power, I guess.
First of all, I want to thank the fans who are tuning in. And I want to thank the fans who have been supporting our show and our network. You guys have been the world to us, and we hope we're entertaining enough for you guys.
Yeah.
And
We try.
we hope you enjoyed this little clip on Bruiser Brody. Hang in there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to return with our new segment, which is called Head to Head. Last week we did John Tolos
And The
against
Miz.
The Miz.
Wow.
So we kind of take an older guy against a newer guy. But,
For now.
for now.
Yeah, we'll shake it up.
This week we've got Mil Mascaris
Wow.
against the Viper, Randy Orton.
This is another
we'll be back
interesting
after this
one.
commercial break.
See you in a sec.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
All right, welcome back to Monty and the Pharaoh, and we're going to our new segment, Head to Head. Pharaoh,
Tonight,
once the video's done playing, you want
we
to
are going to witness
Yeah.
the most anticipated match
It's rolling
in the history of professional wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world. Are you ready? Wrestling fans, are you ready?
All right, to start a show, Jimmy Pharaoh is going to go over the rules with Head to Head.
All right, ladies and gents, here we go, head to head. The following criteria is necessary for this competition. The first category will be mic skills. For those at home, you know, how good are you on a stick, as you said.
As I said.
You know, how do we talk to the crowd? Are we a natural, or are we just good at what we do? Criteria number 2 is mat skills. You know, like you got your Bret Harts in this world, and then you got your Giant Gonzalez's. Do I need to explain that? If I do, oh boy. All right.
You've got trouble.
Yeah. Number 3, overall influence on the industry. We all know that, you know, certain wrestlers have definitely left a much bigger thumbprint than others.
So, for example, Bruiser Brody,
he
left a huge influence on this industry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We also have it, criteria number 4, the, as I like to call it, the back of the baseball card. That is your resume, how many championships, things like Money in the Bank, you know, if you're a WWE guy, Royal Rumble, etc., etc. And the final subject in the competition is something called the It Factor. And I would like to think that most of us know what that is, you know, whether it's Hulk Hogan or Ultimate
So,
Warrior.
I used the
or,
example last week of the It Factor.
You have a certain thing about
the
you?
Andre the Giant documentary.
Yeah.
At some point, they start showing some wrestlers, and there's this clip of superstar Billy Graham doing a flex.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, who's no fan of wrestling, said, "Ooh, who's that?"
There you go.
And that is the It Factor.
There you go.
All right, let's talk about our first contestant, Mr. Mil Mascaras. Jimmy?
All righty, ladies and gentlemen. Born way back in 1942, Mexican luchador. He is regarded as one of the greatest lucha libre fellas of all time. A Mexican legend, of course, along with El Santo and Blue Demon. I really don't have to go through all of this to basically let you know, of course, the Man of 1,000 Masks is quite possibly the first legitimate lucha libre star that crossed over into Vince's territory. That's for sure.
Yep.
It didn't matter back in the day where Mil Mascaras went. Mil Mascaras was basically a main event guy, and he used to come to town once in a while. We got to see him. Of course, he's been inducted to multiple Hall of Fames. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame back in 2012. Mil Mascaras is an absolute freaking legend. I can basically leave it at that. You know how big...
Was Mil Mascaras fall into that Andre the Giant, Abdullah Butcher,
somewhat,
Bruiser Brody,
absolutely,
traveling carny guy that people
one of
wanted
them.
to see?
Yeah. Didn't matter where he went, and he would draw.
Look,
that guy would draw.
For me, Mil Mascaras, look, we were at the big event a couple of years back, right, with our table.
Right.
We went and got a picture with Mil Mascaras because he was that important to us,
You know
right?
what's amazing? That he agreed to take the picture.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
trouble in itself,
as you
right?
dive deeper into Mil, you find out that Mil wasn't exactly very fond of losing.
Well, he was kind of like
Ever.
he was Brody-ish.
He was
right?
Brody-ish.
He would not lose
That's
his
right.
matches.
He protected his image, and he went globally. He went everywhere, and he put fannies everywhere, no
Let me
matter
ask
where
you,
he
when
went.
he wrestled Superstar Graham in Madison Square Garden those 2 times,
Yeah.
he ended up losing that second match, right? Did he lose by pinfall?
Did he lose?
I don't know. He did lose.
I know that there was a lot of countouts that Mil would get victories with. Oh, you got counted out to be win.
Tell the fans the story where we went to the Battle Royal.
God. Really? All right. Well, it was me, my partner here, and another fella that we went to school with. And I think his pop took us.
Right.
And he was a very cool guy. And he took us to Madison Square Garden to see, was that Morocco Backlund?
It was Morocco.
Okay, so we went to the Garden to see Morocco Backlund, but also there was a very exciting at the time. Battle Royals were very, very special and very exciting back in those days. So there was a Battle Royal, and Mil Mascaras was in the Battle Royal. Now, the friend that we went with, his favorite wrestler was Mil Mascaras.
Yep.
He absolutely loved Mil Mascaras.
And the cool thing about Mascaras, he had the mask on, he'd take it off, he had another mask on.
He had another
right?
mask. What about the cape he used to wear,
Oh,
too?
awesome.
The cape was fantastic.
He was a superhero.
He was a superhero.
With his chest out. Right?
Yep. Oh, he was in tremendous shape.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. He was built like a statue. And the flying body press back then, come on, I know everybody flips today, but that was
Right.
exciting. A flying body press back then was like, wow, check out Captain Ariel.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So anyway, during the Battle Royal, the bell rings, ding! The next thing you know, Mascaras is out!
And back to the locker room.
He gets thrown out, and the look on our friend's face was like somebody had just stolen all 4 of his puppies. It was like, I'm going to take the last one, too. And I never forgot the disappointment. We found out years and years later that Mil Mascaras, if he wasn't going to win something, got in and got out.
Took a powder.
That's it. I'm out. So this poor,
you went to see Mil
We
Mascaras.
were just like 12 at the time, and our friend was crushed. Boy, if he knew that one, we know now. You're right.
Let's talk about contestant number 2.
Oh, my
the
God.
Viper, Randy Orton.
Randall Keith Orton. Hey, he's going to be 41 soon. Wow.
Getting old.
We know that Randy Orton, of course, is a legendary WWE legend, of course. Boy, there's just so many things you could say about him. Of course, he comes from a family of wrestlers. The grandfather, Bob Orton, his father, Cowboy Bob, who we've had on.
Yep.
Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. Of course, his Uncle Barry. That's a whole nother story. There is nothing that Randy Orton has not accomplished in his career. And he came up basically through the minors, if you will. He's almost like, he's not Derek Jeter, but Derek Jeter came up through the minors of the Yankees. He came up through the minors of Vince, and he's always been there. He's just been there and been there for 20 years almost at this point. He was the youngest world champion at the time that he won the World Heavyweight Championship at 24. Look, say what you will, but the RKO is one of the greatest finishers ever, man. How many different times have we seen the RKO?
So many of the pro wrestling experts talk about Randy Orton as half-assing.
They hate him.
The majority of his matches.
Yeah, right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree with that. There might have been a time or two where you could say somebody mailed it in, but I've seen... Look, do you realize how many times a year these guys go out there? What the hell are we talking about? If you can point out 1 or 2 times in a guy's entire career, like, oh, look, he's got... How many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of matches Randy Orton's had? Come on. You could
argue that Randy Orton's best work has been during this COVID era.
He's done some great work during this COVID era. Randy Orton is, to me, a very unappreciated pro. He's a great villain. Mm-hmm. He's gotten better and better on the mic over the years.
Right,
he's had some killer.
Let's get to it, the head-to-head competition. You ready?
All right.
Mil Mascaras against Randy Orton, Mike Skills.
Oh, that's you know, what's funny, you know, a lot of the times Randy Orton would be in trouble in this category, but he's not. He's not here, you know. Mil Mascaras didn't have mic skills, and Randy can do just fine. So, yeah, that's Randy.
Okay, Matt Skills.
I mean, you agree, right?
I
mean,
agree.
Come on, stop, you know.
Matt Skills, Randy Orton, Mil Mascaras.
Randy Orton hasn't beat. The one flying body press doth not a repertoire make.
Wow, this was like a blowout already.
No, calm down. We're not done yet.
Overall,
you agree with Matt Skills, though? I want to make sure
I agree with Matt Skills.
You're with
fans,
me
you guys
here.
could weigh in if you disagree.
You know, but let's really think about this. Mike Skills, stop. Matt Skills, a flying body press was really the one thing. Don't tell me Randy Orton does not have more in his arsenal than that. Stop. Okay, how about
overall influence on the industry?
Mascaras.
Why?
Do you realize how many luchas have come since him and the road that he opened, the door he opened for the Rey Mysterios and everybody else? Oh, my God. No way, ands, or ifs about it. Randy Orton is a legend. Randy Orton has done many things. There is not a sea of new Randy Orton showing up that wrestle and look and want to be like Randy Orton, but Mil Mascaras opened a floodgate for a whole genre. Mil Mascaras wins this number 3 by a mile.
I agree with you. So we got 2-1 right now. Back of the baseball card.
Oh, this is where Randy clinches this competition because there is no competition. Randy Orton has held every damn belt in the WWE, and it's no competition. I'm sorry. You know, if Mil had been more willing to work with people and he might have won a world title or two.
Maybe stayed
or even if he turned the belt back 6 days later, like Antonio Inoki could say he was world champion several times.
Fair enough.
In the NWA and the WWF.
Fair enough.
Do business a little better to get your resume.
So
Not that Mil needed it. He didn't need it.
I think that Mil and Brody, if they just would have did business a little better, things could have been a little different.
I can't say better. I just think that if they had been more willing to play ball, perhaps, with the way the Vinces and the Turners do, then maybe they would have had a belt or two more.
How about the it factor?
Mascaras.
By far.
By far.
So on the two levels, overall influence of the industry, the it factor, Mil Mascaras blowing them away.
Yep.
But we got to give the competition to the
on
Viper,
points,
Randy Orton.
On points, it's 3-2. That's basically it, It was interesting, though, I'll tell you that. That was an interesting matchup.
All right, well...
You know what would happen if they wrestled, though? Vince would tell Mil, you're going to lose, and it would be a 5-second match.
And it would be over.
Yeah, he just hit him with an RKO. Just tell him to hit me with the
Russell
RKO.
Campbell says, you're right there.
Oh, thank you,
Crusader says Orton.
Okay. That's. By the way, I'm a huge Randy Orton fan. This pains me. Last week, I'm a big John Tolos fan, and The Miz won. So that pains me.
That's the way it is.
It is what it is.
All right, I want to talk about next week for everybody. We're almost out of time. We've got comedy legend in studio next week. Jackie, the joke man, Martling from the Howard Stern Show. He'll be at the couch.
Nice.
And, this is a variety show. We'll talk a little wrestling. We'll talk about the career of Jackie. That's for sure. And then on January 24th, that's a Saturday, we've got Dutch Mantel will be in studio.
Yes,
you a little
sir.
nervous about that one?
I'm nervous about what you're going to do with him. I don't know what you're going to do.
Well, I'm going to call it like I see it.
Listen, Dutch, I think that you're full of buffalo chips.
I've got a problem when someone gets murdered, then you become the booker for the organization a month later.
Well,
that's a major issue.
Oh, dear God.
You ain't got Hannibal here, bro. We're not just going to roll over. Okay, it's not going to happen that way.
He puts the lotion in the box.
Puts the lotion in the box.
It's Hannibal.
You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh. You can catch Monty and the Pharaoh on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monty and the Pharaoh Facebook Live page, the Monty and the Pharaoh iHeart Radio Spotify, Anchor, Channel 115 here in New York on Tuesday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. and for early risers on Channel 20, Saturday 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. and on Friday, Channel 20 from 2 a.m. to 2:30 a.m.
Nice.
Pharaoh, any parting words?
Just thanks for hanging with us. We always appreciate you guys letting us come into your living room every week. And until
It is an honor. It is an honor.
It sure is. And until next week, as I always say, later.